Hello, ladies and gents. This is Trump captures Maduro. Here's what you need to know about your war fronts. I watch video from Cappy Army, from Cappy. I watch his videos, I react to his videos. And I got flooded by hundreds of comments. Now, in the video, I assumed because certain things are said, people are going to be like basically dislike the shit out of that video. That didn't happen. Mostly positive. Most of the people like thumbs up and like the video. 93+%. Yeah, that means you Americans can take a criticism, which is more than most countries can say. You say a shit about anything like India or anything like that, and yeah, you be basically disliked to oblivion. And it's not like I criticize America that much. Like, I'm just like, okay, it was just badass. That's what I said, right? And America's America. I'm one of those people who are like more like realist. I'm scientific guy. I analyze things and I say what that is. I don't care about biases that much, right? America's too powerful. USA is so powerful, no other country can compare. I've said this many times, right? Some commenters are like, okay, what you talking about? US is too powerful than China. This, yeah, I said that. I say that in other videos as well. So this was a power move, obviously. It was an insane power move. Okay, I assumed that there were no casualties, but no, there was no casualties towards American side. So there was casualty. That just makes sense. If there was no casualty, that literally implies that Maduro's people like, okay, take him, I don't care. That would be too insane. But yeah, the whole thing is just ridiculous. Okay, first of all, you can say anything about Trump. You can say you don't like the Trump. You can say you don't like Trump. But nobody in recent times is actually doing shit the way Trump is doing. Come on, you have to say that at least, right? And again, like, you know, my criticism was mostly like, I'm not saying Maduro is a good guy. Every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, I don't like that guy. So I'm not saying he's a good guy. And apparently I learned that people are saying that he wasn't really elected. He just said, fuck it, I'm not leaving, which is like insane. I guess that shit happens as well. But yeah, like, you know, I don't know, man. All I said was, US is just deciding, yeah, I'm going to remove this, is probably going to have consequences because China and Russia can just say, like, I don't care what the US says. They did this. They have a thing to say now. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, in the end, this was badass. If Maduro's behind a lot of cartels and things, of course, US is going to do this. That just made sense to me. So, Warfronts, this is a very good channel. I react to a lot from this. So yeah, let's watch this one.
Eastern time.
While it started in the middle.
The United States government has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with US law enforcement.
Along with his wife.
This was a message posted by American President Donald Trump on Saturday, the 3rd of January at 4:21 a.m. Eastern Time, announcing to the world that the American government had achieved one of its key objectives, the capture of President Maduro. The date is important because, one, it's only a few hours ago, and two, it's exactly 35 years since the day that American forces captured Panamanian leader Manuel Noriega, who, like Maduro, had also been accused of drug trafficking and was clinging on to power after a disputed election. In a later interview with Fox News, President Trump announced that Maduro and his wife had been taken to the USS Iwo Jima.
I can't. There's a video of him. I think he was in limousine. I don't know. I think he was in limousine talking to news, this and that. This is literally moments later. They just capture him. There is a clip of him. People told me in the comments, and I went and looked there. There's a clip of him. I'm here. Pop my bump on my chest. Trump, if you can capture me, come get me. The fuck? First of all, you're going to say that to Trump, who's currently president of the United States? That is not a good mixture. You don't want to piss him off. Most countries around the world try to appease Trump so he doesn't get angry at them. Just kind of like polish him constantly. And you're going to point blank say like, oh, I'm not scared of you, come get me. Yeah, he came and got you now. This is insane.
One of the American warships that have been prowling the Caribbean. According to a statement by Attorney General Pam Bondi, they will both be tried in a US court. The announcement came just hours after residents of Caracas, including several CNN correspondents, reported hearing explosions and seeing military
CNN is in there, okay.
aircraft flying overhead. According to the correspondents, the first blast that they witnessed happened at 12:50 a.m. Eastern Time, which means that in barely 3 hours, American forces had captured a sitting head of state and evacuated him from his country. I'll say that again. This entire operation took just 3.5 hours. So because 2026 is...
Again, I've said this in many videos. USA has the technology. They have the shit. Every other country just follows that from them. USA has the technology. All the chipsets, all the technology that everybody uses comes from USA. This is just dominance. Like, yeah, we did this 35 years ago, but now we do it more efficiently. And 10 years from now, God knows what we will be able to do. USA is too powerful. I know people from China and who are like out of USA, people watches and get pissed off in the comments. Be a realist. I'm not from USA, and I'm saying that. Come on, what more could you need? USA is too powerful. You have to admit that.
Decided to get off to an insane start. That's why I'm here on a Saturday afternoon. Let's examine what we know, what we don't know, and what this attack means for the wider region. Let's start with what we know as the time of around 4 p.m.
That's Chinook just unloading the fuck out of those missiles as suppressing fire. That's just insane. That's like video game equivalent of putting cheat codes in. GTA and put cheat codes in you have all the weapons. That's what that was.
Central European time. 4:15. We are getting this out. On Friday, the 2nd of January, President Maduro appeared on state television while meeting with a delegation of Chinese officials in Caracas. This was the last time that he
would... Oh, wait a minute. It's not a limousine. Why did it look like a limousine to me? I don't know.
...be seen in public. A few hours later, the strikes began. A local...
What is he doing that? What is it like? Carpool karaoke and shit like that. Who was that guy? That night... Corden, right? Corden used to do, and then that other Seinfeld, I don't know. That guy also does it coffee with whatever, and they actually take cars. He's doing that shit as a news interview. Why not do it inside a studio? Why are they doing inside car? That's just weird, man.
A journalist who spoke with NPR reported hearing 2 explosions at La Carlota military airport, the main airbase in Caracas, followed by fires on the runway that were quickly put out. Immediately afterward, they reported hearing similar detonations in other parts of the city and planes flying low over Caracas for about an hour. Quoting, "The whole ground shook. This is horrible. We heard explosions and planes." The Associated Press reported that at least 7 explosions were heard in Caracas during that time, and according to OSINT Defender, an X account that uses open source intelligence to track conflicts around the world, Fuerte Tuna, the capital's main military base, had also been targeted in these strikes. Other sites that were...
Okay, watch it from Venezuelan side. Your president, whatever, your leader is constantly antagonizing the most powerful country on the planet. Doesn't matter, military, economy, whatever, pick one. Most powerful country on the planet. And then one night you suddenly hear an explosion and oh, by the way, your president is disappeared because American captured them. Now he's in New York or something. That's just insane.
Targeted include Cerro El Volcan, a major communications and signals antenna site, La Guaira Airport, Venezuela's primary seaport north of Caracas, and Hirarate Airport, an airbase in Miranda State. While other locations may have been targeted, these are the only ones that have been confirmed by sources on the ground. According to American officials who spoke with CBS, Delta Force, an elite special forces unit of the US Army, carried out the attacks. The same officials told CBS that the military had discussed conducting the mission in Venezuela on Christmas Day, but US airstrikes in Nigeria against ISIS targets took precedence. The days after Christmas gave them...
I think I remember watching a video way long ago. I think I got that right. The Delta Force are one of the most insane American people. America has too many, SEAL Team 6, this and that. Delta is the worst of them all because they're too insane. Something like that. I remember watching that video. I don't know how to find. It's been years. But if all the list of extreme... Am I wrong? Comment down what's... I need to find a video. I'm pretty sure Delta Force is one of those special operation people are too insane, too powerful in a way. The training is insane and everything. SEAL Team 6 is obviously the most famous one there is, but they are usually as a deletion, I'm guessing. Delta Force is more complex, right? I don't know. Comment down. I'm pretty sure I remember watching that video.
The military more options, but the operation was held off until the weather was favorable enough to proceed. And proceed it did. Once the dust had settled, Maduro had been captured, and Trump made his announcement on Truth Social. And with that,
The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with the US law enforcement. FBI was there, as you do. Military operation in another country, FBI hangs around, okay. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago, because why not? Mar-a-Lago, that's official now. Thank you for attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. I love it, just like in Truth Social, he just like gives out this, pretty heavy, just like, like announcement. Instrumental announcement. Like this is, we are witnessing history here. And the history is being written in like Truth Social.
That the unspoken assumptions of that last 3.5 decades of US policy towards Latin America had been flipped on their head. At the moment, it seems that there won't be any further attacks. Mike Lee, a US senator who spoke with Secretary of State Marco Rubio after the attacks, posted on X that the secretary anticipated no further action now that Maduro was in custody. He also announced that Maduro would stand trial on criminal charges in the US, where he has been charged with narco-terrorism, corruption, drug trafficking, and a host of other criminal charges. Not that the lack of planned further attacks made much difference in Caracas. The government announced a state of emergency, demanded proof that Maduro was alive, and an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council to discuss the US attacks.
You know what? What if... what if the courts actually say, no, Maduro's innocent? What's going to happen then? Or by the way, there is not enough evidence to convict him. And don't your, courts need like a jury of your peers? Who's going to be Maduro's peers? Or is this different? Is it going to be military court? What's going to happen? I don't know. It's probably going to be military court, right? I don't know.
Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez, while calling for calm and a unified front, announced that the military would be deployed across the nation to defend against what he called the worst aggression ever against Venezuela. Quoting me
Worst
here,
aggression ever.
"They've attacked us.
What is it,
but
teenager?
they did not subdue us. Let's not succumb to the panic the enemy seeks to instill." Additionally, Caracas urged
I was
supporters
right.
to take to the streets.
All the comments were saying like, this idiot doesn't know what he's talking about. I was right. Doesn't matter if Venezuelan people and their military and the government hates Maduro. If you take one of his people, top person, they're not going to be like, okay, we're fine with it. They're going to be pissed off. So every official channel you talk to is going to be somewhat pissed off and will call you enemy. But it depends on like how much they're going to pursue justice. That's the thing. How much they're going to not let this go. If they're like, oh, fine, they have it. What are we going to do? If they do that, like, it's a clear sign they don't care.
This call was answered in neighborhoods in which Maduro enjoys popular support, where, according to the AP, armed individuals and ununiformed members of a civilian militia took to the streets while holding posters of Maduro. In other parts of the city, the streets remained empty.
What?
Hours after the attack, parts of the city remained without power, but vehicles moved freely. Outside of Venezuela, reactions have been varied, to say the least. In Latin America, Argentinian President Javier Milei celebrated the news, saying that freedom had finally come to Venezuela, while Colombian President Gustavo Petro, who has also been a target of Trump's ire, condemned the strikes as an assault on the sovereignty of Latin America.
Trump gave money to Argentina, so Argentina is pro-USA. Colombia is not. So like this is like, should we even like see who has what reaction? Yeah, Putin's going to say this is bad. China's going to say the same thing. Anyone who's like pro-America will say like, oh, freedom is like, yeah, okay.
Warning of a humanitarian crisis. Additionally, Colombia is deploying its military to its 2,219-kilometer-long border with Venezuela, ostensibly to handle the influx of asylum seekers, but likely also as a defensive measure in case the conflict expands beyond Venezuela's borders. In Europe, the reaction has been more measured, with Germany saying that it was watching the situation with great concern, Spain offering to mediate, and the EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs urging restraint while insisting that Maduro lacked legitimacy. More telling, though, might have been the reaction, or lack of it, from Venezuela's most important allies, Iran, Cuba, and Russia. For Russia's part, the Kremlin said it was deeply worried by the attack, saying that it was important to prevent escalation and to use dialogue to find a way out of the conflict.
What else are they going to do? Attack USA? They can't even take over Ukraine. USA is the one doing this. Like, who's going to... China probably, like, not like, let's be honest, like China is literally puffing their chest up saying we are such a global power that we are equal to USA. They don't want to test that theory, so they're not going to do anything against like USA. So yeah.
What it didn't say was that today's events came just months after Moscow and Caracas signed a new strategic partnership meant in part to improve Venezuela's military. A partnership that seems to have been about as useful to Caracas as Iran's partnership with Russia was for Tehran during last year's war with Israel. Savage. Speaking of Tehran, Iran's foreign ministry described the attack as a flagrant violation of the national sovereignty and territorial integrity of Venezuela, while Cuba's president...
Dude, he bombed the shit out of your facilities. What do you mean? He talks like, oh, this is violation. You have holes in your ground. I think violation started much earlier than that. I think Trump violated you first, then he violated Venezuela. Like, the way he sees, I don't know. Am I the only one who finds all this shit funny? I don't know.
President Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez called for the international community to denounce what he described as state terrorism against Venezuelan people. And just in case you're playing Axis of Resistance bingo there, China, another friend of Venezuela, is yet to publicly respond. With all this in mind, let's now look at what we don't know. First, there is the question of the legality of the strikes. While Senator Lee, a constitutional lawyer, insisted that the Trump administration was justified in conducting the strike since the president had the authority to protect U.S. personnel from an actual or imminent attack, Democratic lawmakers, including Senator Andy Kim, a former diplomat, have termed the action illegal, saying that it put American lives at risk and signaled to other superpowers that targeting a sitting head of state is acceptable to the U.S. government.
Okay, first guy said that it's like threat to US soldier. How? Was Venezuela threatening US soldiers? I don't know about that. Again, I literally don't know about that. That's what I'm saying. Comment down if that's the case. If that's the case, like this is easy like justification if that's the case. As far as I know, that's not the case. So legality wise, like yeah, the second one is what I was saying in the first video as well. Like people got pissed off at that as well. In the end, let's take a step back and see as like a whole picture. What message does this send? Obviously, indirect messages to China and Russia is a different thing. But I mean, like, like legality, morality wise. Oh, US will just do this to any country. They'll just grab their president. And that's the morality we live in. So, that in that picture, it's kind of weird, right? In future, if you discuss anything, like USA is like a global mediator, global police, let's just say. They can't police if they have a big stain in their record, like, yeah, we just did this shit. So anytime you bring anything up, people will just shut you down, like, shut up, you just did that to Venezuela. Who are you to say? Putin does that all the time when it comes to USA. He has another thing to say now.
Now, we're not experts on the nuances of the American Constitution, but we can guarantee that this is a question that Congress and possibly the Supreme Court will have to answer at some point in the future. Second, we don't know who is now in charge of Venezuela and how long their rule will last. At the moment, it's
that woman, right?
Maduro's in a circle
Vice
surviving
President?
the strikes, and the Vice President will take over, maintaining the current status quo. However, there are two distinct scenarios that we have to consider. One, that America negotiates with the remaining government officials to hand over power to Edmundo Gonzalez, who Washington recognized as Venezuela's rightful president after the contested 2024 elections.
Venezuela opposition leader recognizes president-elect. Okay, again, somebody comment down. People told me that Maduro was not voted in, he just stole the election or something. Now, is this one of those like, oh, by the way, 2020 election was stolen? Is it that way? Or it was like hard proof, like literally was stolen? And this guy won. If that's the case, like, isn't he literally the president? If that's the case, isn't this kind of easy? Like, yeah, he was literally voted in, we have evidence, so like, okay, put him in charge.
Or two, that the military takes advantage of the confusion and disarray created by the American strikes to seize power in a coup.
Yeah, smaller powers. Venezuela is a small power. Usually military generals becomes dictators very easily. That's how it works. That's how it's everywhere, like power vacuums. Yeah, this is very easy to do.
It wouldn't be the first time that the military sought to gain power by taking advantage of a crisis. This was a fear expressed by Pedro Reyes Arroyo, a Venezuelan.
Still remember Myanmar, right? Myanmar, Burma, whatever. In that one, like, the old lady was doing yogas in like live TV, and literally like military vehicles in the background was running towards, and she's like, "What is happening?" It was a coup. Military took over. I still remember that clip. That's insane.
An entrepreneur who's speaking exclusively to war fronts said that the vacuum of power left in Maduro's absence could embolden individuals in the military to launch violent bids for the presidency, resulting in, and we'll quote him here, a bloodbath. If the second scenario were to occur, there is the possibility that Washington will be forced to launch another operation to install.
I think that's what Trump said, like, we're gonna decide who's gonna be in power. And I'm like, how the fuck that works? But now I understand. I think it's mostly so power vacuum doesn't happen. So military doesn't get idea. Trump basically saying if military gets idea and tries to take over, I'm going to intervene again. So I guess that makes sense. That's better in a way. Like, you don't want vacuums and military dictators to point blank rise up.
A government that has their support. The third thing we don't know, and which may be the most important, is whether Maduro made a deal with Washington and the attacks were theater to give him a face-saving
That's just weird.
power. While this does seem unlikely, some in the Venezuelan opposition told Sky News that this could be the case, given that Maduro has repeatedly expressed his willingness to negotiate with Trump. However, we gotta be honest here, this doesn't seem super plausible considering that Senator Lee announced Maduro would be facing charges in the United States. It's also unlikely that Trump would be willing to let Maduro save face after the acrimonious year that the two have had. Additionally, Rubio is a long-time Maduro opponent who has been pushing for the latter's ouster, so the possibility that Washington chose to be gracious to Maduro is incredibly slim. However, slim ain't zero. So what's this mean for the region? When looking at this attack...
Yeah, but then again, all of this could be fake, and I'm a crazy guy in a mental asylum just imagining all this thing. That also has a chance. That's not zero. There's also a chance. So in the end of the day, it doesn't matter how how much chance there is. Doesn't mean it's real. I don't believe that shit. I don't believe that he gave himself and made a deal. That's just weird. I don't know. With Trump, how Trump functions, that's just weird to me. I don't believe that shit. Yes, there is a chance. But like I said, there's a chance for anything. All the world I'm looking at is fake, and I'm probably a crazy guy in some asylum imagining this world. I'm as a YouTuber. So that has a chance.
Against Venezuela, it is tempting to see it as just part of Trump and Rubio's campaign against Maduro. However, that would be missing the forest for the trees. There's a bigger strategy at play here, one that was revealed in the recently published National Security Strategy. Now, in case you missed our video analyzing that document, here's what you need to know. On Latin America, the Trump administration announced that it would be reinstituting the Monroe Doctrine, which basically means that the entire Western Hemisphere is Washington's backyard. Other superpowers, they're not welcome, and regimes in every...
Yeah, but isn't that doctrine was mostly based on Soviet Union? What is justification going to be now? China? I mean, it makes sense. I think, no, wait a minute, it makes more than fucking sense. China is literally grabbing anything they can from Africa to everywhere, putting their hooks in anyone, and basically, yeah, Pakistan is part of that. They try to do that with Sri Lanka. Are you fucking kidding me? There's too many countries that China's gaining influence over. So USA basically creating this environment of this is off limits. Kind of makes sense.
Country need to be aligned with America's interests, or they will have to deal with an angry Washington. This is why the operation matters far beyond Venezuela's borders.
Isn't that what Russia did with Ukraine, though? Ukraine was getting ideas and thinking about NATO, so Russia, okay, you're not going to play ball, I'm going to invade you. Isn't that kind of the same thing? I don't know.
Every leader in Latin America is now watching and calculating. If the United States can conduct a decapitation strike against a sitting president in a matter of hours, what does that mean for their own security? What red lines exist anymore? Cuba's got to be particularly nervous right now. The island nation depends heavily on Venezuelan oil and has sent thousands of personnel to Venezuela over the years. It has also spent entire decades on Washington's hit list, with the CIA infamously trying to bump off Fidel Castro with everything from regular bullets to exploding cigars. With Maduro gone, Cuba loses a critical economic lifeline, while its leadership will be terrified that they're next for special US treatment. Nicaragua's Daniel Ortega, another vocal critic of Washington with close ties to Russia and China, must also be wondering if he's on the list. And while Colombian President Gustavo Petro is likely safe due to Bogotá's long history of cooperation with Washington, he is likely, at the very least, feeling a bit anxious today. But it's not just America's adversaries who should be recalculating. Even friendly governments should be asking questions about what their relationship with Washington means for their rule. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum has maintained a delicate balancing act between Washington and her own agenda. Now, she undoubtedly faces pressure to more definitively support what Trump wants, even if it goes against what she wants. Brazil's Lula has tried to position himself as a mediator in regional conflicts. That role just became a lot more complicated. The operation also changes the calculus for Chinese and Russian investment in the region. Beijing has poured billions into Latin.
This is basic. Okay, in one sentence, I know in one sentence. Okay, in simplest term, what this was, I'm America, fuck you, I'm too powerful, none of you get the say. You say what you do what I say, otherwise you're no longer there. This was messages to everyone in entire continent of America, South America and everywhere. From Brazil to all that, shut the fuck up, you have no power, I'm America. That's what this was basically.
American infrastructure, mining and energy projects, Moscow has sold weapons and provided technical assistance to several governments. Both have used Venezuela as their primary foothold in the hemisphere. If Washington can remove a government this decisively, does that make other countries think twice about deepening ties with Beijing or Moscow? Or does it push them to seek stronger guarantees from those powers? And do these guarantees mean anything in the face of a Washington that has proven extremely capable of removing a leader in his own capital city? Again, we have to insist here. The entire operation took less than 3 hours and change. That's so short, it makes Israel's decisive 12-day conflict against Iran look like the 30 years war.
Israel, it's not America. Come on, man. Am I the only one who has this, who knows what this shit is? How oblivious are people? US is too powerful. That $1 trillion a year of budget is not a fucking joke. A lot of countries don't even have GDP of $1 trillion. Come on.
There's also the question of what happens to Venezuela's oil. The country has the world's largest proven oil reserve. With Maduro gone, those reserves could be up for grabs. China has massive investments in Venezuelan oil infrastructure. Russian companies have been involved in joint ventures. American companies were largely...
Okay, what if China, basically current president or vice president, whoever is in charge, literally makes a deal with China and China puts their entire navy near Venezuela? Wouldn't that mean instant conflict with the USA? What if this starts war between USA and China and not Taiwan? This is just insane. Butterfly effects, who knows what's going to happen?
Shut out under sanctions, the scramble to control Venezuelan oil could reshape global energy markets. Finally, there's the humanitarian dimension. Venezuela has already produced one of the largest refugee crises in recent history, with millions fleeing the country since 2015. Colombia, which hosts the largest number of Venezuelan refugees, is already deploying troops to the border. If violence escalates or the economy collapses further, that number could surge. Peru, Ecuador, Chile, and other countries hosting Venezuelan migrants are bracing for what comes next. And hovering above all of this is the question of what will happen if Venezuela splits apart, if the remnants of the regime try to cling to power while the people rise up in the streets. Could there be wide-scale violence, a civil war? Or will the regime or military quickly consolidate under new leadership and carry on effectively?
A civil war only works when there are two sides to things. If people just rises up because they're fed up with the economy, okay, Maduro's no longer there, it would just be some kind of unrest. Civil war implies there are two sides, two different elements trying to fight.
As before. As Tiziano Breda, senior analyst for Latin America at ACLED, has noted, quote, "A smooth transition remains unlikely, and the risk of resistance from pro-regime armed groups, including elements within the military and Colombian rebel networks active in the country, remains high." In short,
more than that, influence from China and Russia, things are not going to be smooth.
We can't say for certain what will happen next. What we can say is that this is a crisis whose impact will be felt long after Maduro's successor has been chosen. A crisis that could reshape Latin America as we know it. Thank you for watching.
This is also what I said in the video I watched from Cappy Army. This is going to have consequences, very long one. People also call me an idiot. Is he an idiot? Come on. All right. This has been the most insane time we're living in. Every year it seems like something even more intense going to happen. 2026 started with this. And I think, just like he said here, yeah, this is gonna have much longer consequences. It's gonna have like ripple effects. It's not gonna go over that easily. This is like another thing we have now, like Ukraine war, like Middle Eastern issue. Now we have Venezuela thing. That's gonna be long lasting. Who knows what effects gonna have? Who knows which country will involve? Because oil is involved, and oil makes everyone like this is worth it, and everybody gets involved. Who knows what China is going to do? I don't know. It's going to be something interesting. But one thing's for damn sure. This is the most badass thing America's done in recent times. And say anything about Trump, but at least Trump had balls to do that. Nobody else would do it. Okay, I don't see anyone else do this. Trump could do it. Trump said, fuck it, I'm doing this. I don't know. Alright, well, if you like my subscribe, and I'll see you next time.